So just to summarize, for those who might not know exactly what is Reno, Reno is a race, is a racing event which happens every year at the Reno State Airport in Nevada. Simply put, it's just the fastest motor race in the world. So I think the current record reached a mind-blowing 497 miles per hour, which is just, if you think about it, it's just crazy. And this happens very close to the ground and with 8 planes racing all together. So it's easy to say that in this context, the piloting skills are put to the extreme limit. And it's exactly what we have tried to reproduce in the sim. But we know it's more than that. As you mentioned, this race features iconic planes, and each of them are literally unique. I mean, really unique. You know, it's not industrial planes. Each of them are actually custom by a team of passionate pilots and engineers. And at a point that, to give you an order of magnitude, quite often the Reno Air Race planes are going twice faster than the stock version of the same plane. So the engineering behind it is just crazy. So regarding the race itself, it features different class so Jane is actually showing what all the reference work that has been made for this expansion. Mm-hmm. So all of this has been gathered thanks to the pilot and the teams we have worked with, and you can see that each of those planes are actually different. Here we see P50, so now a T6, but none of them is actually a stock T6. Each of them are different cockpits, different wing tips, different even sometimes shapes. So this was a huge amount of work, and really it was fascinating to see the amount of work in the actual plane has been put, and each of the plane in the sim will gonna be reproduced with the right spec and right mesh, extra. I wanted to talk about the place itself, because as I was saying, it happens quite close to the ground. So Jane, if you can launch the before-after video, please. Because it involves different things. Basically, we have improved the satellite data.
Oh.
Yeah, please, yeah. Jane, help me. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. Yeah, so as you can see, we have improved so this is before, this is after. So the mountains have been better defined, the ground has been better defined. This is the Reno State Airport before, this is after the update we did. It's not only about the airport itself, it's also about the event. So we have added the crowd. And you can see the beginning of the actual plane list. So all of this to mention that it's also an event. It's just not only the race. So by the way, for example, we'll have the speaker of the actual event, and it will comment what you're doing during the race. You will also have your team leader that will inform you during the race.
Yeah. So the
goal here was
the same caster that does Reno is doing it.
Exactly.
That's cool.
So it really gives a specific flavor to it and a very great immersion. Mm-hmm. So let's go to the air race flow now, because I wanted to go a little bit deeper into what it is actually, how it will be presented.
Sure.
Yeah. So in the activity menu, so this is the menu of the Reno race itself. So as you can see, we have rules, we have race and leaderboards. So sometimes the rules are, kind of complex, at least on paper. Actually, in game, it's quite simple to get into it, but we added those pages in order to make everyone comfortable on how it works. So you can see here the different types of tracks, depending of the class. How quick match works, how time trial works. So typically in quick match, the playing performance will be normalized in order to let everyone have the same chance to win. Some explanation about the warnings, because you cannot cut the gates, you can't go too high. Here is the page about the pit special so the biplane class, which has a specific procedures for departures, which is different from the rest. Extracts our explanation of the UI. So let's move on. It was just a short parenthesis in order to explain the full flow. So as you can see, there is a Reno score. So basically it works a little bit like a Elo score. So each time you do a race, we take an account the Reno score of the other racers, and depending on the result, it will inform your own Reno score. So and it's something that lasts. So the more race you win, the better your Reno score will going to be, and also depending on the racer you have beaten. So this is let's have a look on the flow of it. So quick match, you select your class. So in this case, unlimited, which is P51. There is different plane to select. So in this case, it's Miss America. You find the lobby. You go into the race. Move on. This is the waiting for the race. So you can see who is who, which plane they are using, and how the lobby will then be fulfilled with people. So qualification starts. In real life, it's a little bit more complex than what was done, but in order to make it more seamless and comfortable and enjoyable for everyone, we just do one lap of qualification, which defines your position on the grid at the beginning of the race itself. So as soon as it's done, as you can see on the right of the screen, you will go for the race itself. Obviously, we'll share later how the race itself works. So you can see here a little bit of the UI. I will come back to this later. And when the race is finished, we wait for the other user to cross the line. If it's too long, we stop the race anyway, and you have your final position, and your Reno score is informed. As you can see on the right of the screen, the red column, you can see the other players' Reno score, which obviously inform if you beat a very good pilot, you will have a better increment on your Reno score, extra. You will also break down the Reno score into each different class, so M9, T6, biplane, and jet, and this feeds the global Reno score at the end. So this was for the presentation of the flow. Let's go into a little more on the gameplay side. So this is a pit special, just few seconds of gameplay, but you can see that in this case we were only 3 racers, but it goes up to 8. You can see a little bit how the UI works. Pit special are typically planes which are super agile. So in this case, it's really about maneuverability. So you can see the exact same race, but seen from another point of view. So you can use the quick lock button in order to see what happens. Oh, Jane, you have switched to something completely different.
Sure. Do you want to go back to the last video here?
Yeah, this is yeah, please. Will we start from the beginning, maybe? It's not a big deal. Let's continue like this. So you can see we have implemented UI in order to in the world UI in order to help people to figure out where are the gates, etc. But if you want, you can hide them if you want to be really true to life. Honestly, at the beginning, I recommend to use it. It's easier. You can already, I will come back to this later, but you can already see a little bit the effect of the drag. So it's not at all like in Formula One. You know, in Formula One, you will, or car racing, you will be, in general, you will try to be behind the other car in order to benefit from the aspiration of the previous car. In this case, it's the exact opposite. You need to absolutely avoid the drag of the place in front of you. So this is image from the T6 class. So in this case, T6 are basically very old plane.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, it's really about trying to minimize as much as possible the drag of your plane. So it's really about being super gentle with the plane, and except when you need to avoid. So typically in this case, in the video, in order to avoid the other plane, he had to make a very brutal turn, which, as I was describing, increase a lot the load factor on the plane. And with those planes, it's you will lose a lot of speed, which is not great, not good to win the race. So other example was the T6 class, and as you can see, it's
Will the race work in VR also?
Sure, there is no reason it doesn't work. To be honest, we still need to debug some stuff on it, but yeah, sure, it's the goal. Typically in first-person view, it makes it really incredible, but yeah. Well,
mm-hmm.
So maybe you have seen that we have added some effects. I will come back also to this later. But when you go really close to the ground, we have added the dust effect. Basically, the impact of the drag on the ground, which tends to make some dust fly. So here there's a bit of internal view. So now the P51. You've seen just before the fact that the plane shake just because of the previous plane, and it doesn't really convey, it doesn't really perceive. It's hard to really see it in the video, but I guarantee that when you actually pilot the plane, being behind another plane is really dangerous.
Mm. And
sometimes as a result you crash. So obviously we do not end the race because of that. We just respawn the user back on track.
Mm-hmm.
So this video is actually about the replication in online multiplayer. So for Reno, because it's so precise and because planes are so close to each other, we needed to make it super precise and accurate, and a huge amount of work has been made in order to do this. So the plane you see in front of the plane we are in is actually this exact same plane, but with an offset, and it's the exact same plane, but with the online signal. So what you can observe is that it's super smooth. There is no, catch up,
mm-hmm.
and it really replicates smoothly the actual player position, rotation, speed, extra.
So with this change to multiplayer, does that affect just...
Exactly, that was my next point. Yeah. That was my next point. The good news about it is that obviously it will also be beneficial for any multiplayer activities. So we believe that now, thanks to this improvement, even the formation aerobatic flight and squad flight will going to be much more true to life.
Great, that's fantastic. All right, I have the turbulences video next. Would you like me to put that on?
Yeah. So we've seen a little bit of it in the previous video. So as you can see, the plane jiggles when he's behind the other one, and it's a very important parameter when you are racing, because you need to really take into account the plane in front of you, not only for itself, because obviously if you collide with it, you would be respawned, but also because of this. So you need to observe the other trajectory, which is a very specific thing compared to other type of racing experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's really specific to Reno. Yeah, in this case, so close to the ground, I guarantee you are in danger.
Mm-hmm. And we have our final video on FX.
Yeah. You can see there, after the plane goes through, there is some dust which is basically put into the air because of the drag. effect of the wing applied to the ground when it's dust. We did this, and again it will also be implemented for the rest. We did also a specific work on the exhaust effect, typical to those planes. So with the sounds, it makes even better sense because we really capture how those planes actually start up and with the exact same effects. And here's something very cool that comes also on F-18, is the G-lock effect. So this is the black one when you put on the yoke and hop, now it comes back. So something we don't hear this is that we really respect what happens in real life. So first you will lose the vision, it will gonna get gray, then it's gonna get black, and then you will lose the sound itself, and you will even lose the control. So your plane will live its life until you recover. And there is also the red effect when you go down and the blood goes into the head. So this is the same thing but external view. So because we added this, as you can see on the very bottom left, you can see the G indicators, which indicates how many Gs you take. It was important to do it for Reno because the Gs inform the load factor and it informs the speed, or again the drag. So basically how much you damage your speed. And so it was needed to have these indicators. Basically, Reno Racer used it in order to really to improve their lap speed. Let's see, it will go down and the red G-lock will appear. So again, we have no sound here, but at some point you lose even the sound and you lose even the control of the plane. You need to hope that it will come back. This one is just while we were preparing so we answered the L-39, and we have improved also because those planes are custom and sometimes they're old. We have improved the effect also of the cockpit. You know, the little scratches on the cockpit, the way it interacts with the sunlight. So it's super cool.
Awesome. That's really, I love that. Thank you for sharing that with us. There are a ton of questions that I've